Hello everyone. Today we will study India's drainage system. Part 1. The Himalayan giants, Indus and Ganga. Think of rivers here as the arteries of India. They do not just carry water. They shape plains, decide agriculture, trigger floods, carve valleys and build civilizations. We'll start with the core language of drainage: basin, watershed and water divide. Because most students try to memorize rivers before fixing the vocabulary. Then we'll map India's Great Water Divide, understand the main drainage patterns, see how the old Indo-Brahma system split into Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra, and then move river by river through the Indus and Ganga systems. By the end, you should not just know names, you should be able to see the logic of the map. Before touching any river, lock the terms. A river basin is the catchment of large rivers, generally more than 20,000 square kilometers. A watershed is smaller. It deals with small rivulets and rills. And the line that separates one drainage area from another is the water divide. Use one visual and you won't forget it. A basin is the bucket. A watershed is the cup. And the boundary is the water divide. Now two more terms. Drainage means water flowing through well-defined channels, and catchment area means the specific land area a river drains. This is where most aspirants get careless. They treat basin and watershed as interchangeable. They aren't. Now place that logic on the Indian map. India has a major internal separator, the Great Indian Water Divide. Roughly 77% of India's drainage is oriented toward the Bay of Bengal. That includes the Ganga, Brahmaputra and Mahanadi systems. About 23% is oriented toward the Arabian Sea. That includes the Indus, Narmada and Tapi systems. The big structural markers here are the Aravalli, the Delhi Ridge and the Western Ghats or Sahyadris. And here is the distinction most aspirants miss. The Delhi Ridge is the crucial separator in the north. It sends the Yamuna eastward into the Ganga system and the Satluj westward into the Indus system. If you miss the ridge, you miss the map. Now let's organize drainage patterns because UPSC loves asking pattern plus example. First is dendritic, tree-like branching. That is the classic pattern of the northern plains. Second is radial, rivers flowing outward from a high point, almost like spokes from a peak. The example given is the Amarkantak Plateau or range. Third is trellis. This develops where hard and soft rock bands alternate, forcing streams into a lattice-like arrangement. The example here is the Himalayan Ridge Zone. Fourth is centripetal, inward flow into a basin or depression. The example is Loktat Lake. Do not memorize the names as labels. Read the geometry. Once the shape is clear, the answer becomes obvious. Now comes the historical backbone of Indian drainage. In the earlier phase, there was a major river system called the Indo-Brahma, also described here as the Shivalik River. This belongs to an older phase stretching back toward the Miocene, roughly 5 to 24 million years ago. Then came a major tectonic event, the Pleistocene upheaval, especially the uplift of the Delhi Ridge. That uplift reorganized the old flow and split it into three major systems. To the west, the Indus system. In the center, the Ganga system. To the east, the Brahmaputra system. That is why Punjab, the Ganga Plain and Assam are not just separate river valleys. They are outcomes of long geological restructuring. This is geography with memory. Now compare the two great drainage families of India, Himalayan and Peninsular. Himalayan drainage is the youth. It is perennial, meaning fed by snow plus rain, so flow continues through the year. These rivers meander, shift courses, cut V-shaped valleys and gorges. Examples given are Kosi and Indus. Peninsular drainage is the elder. It is largely seasonal, so much more dependent on rainfall. Its rivers usually have fixed courses, more rigid channels, and old graded profiles, meaning mature, gentler river forms. Examples here are Godavari and Krishna. And here is the concept check you must not miss. Himalayan rivers are antecedent. That means they existed before the mountains fully rose and then kept cutting through them as uplift continued. That one line separates understanding from memorization. Let's start the Indus properly. Its upper course begins near Bokharchu in the Kailash range. Another important name is Singhi Khamban, which literally means lion's mouth. From there, the Indus moves northwestward through the high mountain region. Now lock the spatial relation carefully. The Indus flows between the Ladakh range and the Zaskar range, not across them, between them. This is where examiners set easy traps. Then comes a dramatic bend, the hairpin turn near Nanga Parbat and Gilgit. So the upper Indus is not just a straight Himalayan stream. It is a structurally controlled river with a very specific mountain corridor and a major directional bend. Now we come to the Panjnath, literally 5 waters, and the Indus confluence system. The 5 major rivers are Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and Satluj. The given mnemonic is I just Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Satluj. But the part that matters is the north to south order. Now the origins. Jhelum rises from Verinag Spring. Chenab rises near Baralachala, formed by the meeting of Chandra and Bhaga, and it is the largest tributary here. Ravi rises near Rotang Pass. Beas rises from Beas Kund, and one high-yield fact is that it ends in India at Harike. Satluj rises from Rakas Lake, and it is an antecedent river. And remember the real meaning of Panjnath. It is the collective flow of these 5 rivers after they converge before joining the Indus. Now move to the Ganga side, beginning with the Alaknanda system. This is one of the most repeated map questions, so learn it as a sequence, not as isolated names. Along the Alaknanda, these tributaries join in order. Dhauli Ganga meets at Vishnuprayag. Pindar meets at Karnaprayag. Mandakini meets at Rudraprayag. And Bhagirathi meets at Devprayag. At Devprayag, the Alaknanda and Bhagirathi combine, and from that point, the river is known as the Ganga. Also, fix the word Prayag. A Prayag is a confluence, a meeting point of rivers. Do not treat these as devotional names only. They are geomorphically important confluence points. Now trace the Ganga as a river system. After formation in the Himalaya zone, it enters the plains at Haridwar. From there, it flows southeastward across the northern plains, passing major points like Prayagraj and Patna. Farther east, the Farakka barrage becomes crucial because the river system begins to separate. One branch goes toward the Bhagirathi Hooghly, passing the Kolkata region. The main eastern course enters Bangladesh as the Padma. The Ganga's total length is about 2,525 kilometers, making it the longest river in India. And the main Indian states along its course are Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, which has the longest stretch, Bihar, and West Bengal. This is not just one river. It is a corridor of settlement, agriculture, and political geography. Now let's organize the southern tributaries of the Ganga, especially Yamuna and Son. The Yamuna is the major southern tributary that joins the Ganga at Prayagraj. And along the Yamuna system, you should remember the important tributaries shown here: Chambal, Sindh, Betwa, and Kain. Then comes the Son. The Son rises from the Amarkantak plateau, and that matters because Amarkantak is associated with a radial drainage pattern. Now here is the trap. The Son is a south bank tributary, but it flows northward before joining the Ganga. Do not confuse bank position with flow direction. A river is called left bank or right bank based on the site from which it joins when you face downstream, not based on which direction it personally flows. That confusion costs easy marks. Now to the left bank side of the Ganga. And this is the flood belt you must respect. The major Nepal origin tributaries shown here are Ghagra, Gandak and Kosi. One source detail marked here is Map Chachungo, associated with the origin region of the Ghagra system. Among these, the most notorious is Kosi. It is called the Sorrow of Bihar because it is famous for shifting its course and causing massive floods. That is not poetic language. It is a geomorphic warning. And farther east, you also need to remember the Damodar, historically called the Sorrow of Bengal. The Hooghly branch and the Kolkata region also sit inside this larger eastern flood sediment story. This is where most students make one mistake. They learn tributary names but ignore flood behavior. UPSC does not. Now compare two southern tributaries through landform logic, Chambal and Damodar. The Chambal is associated with the famous ravines and badland topography. Its origin is near Mhao on the Malwa Plateau. Badland topography means heavily dissected, deeply gullied terrain, usually produced by intense erosion. That is why the Chambal region looks carved and broken. Now the Damodar is different. It flows through a rift valley. Historically, it was called the Sorrow of Bengal. But that destructive reputation was later reduced after control measures under the DVC, meaning the Damodar Valley Corporation. So remember the contrast clearly. Chambal means ravines and badlands. Damodar means rift valley and flood control history. Now compress everything into the final comparison. Indus versus Ganga. Origin: Indus, Bokharchu in Tibet. Ganga, Gangotri in India, which is the source region you should remember for quick revision. Entry into plains: Indus, Attak. Ganga, Haridwar. Key tributary: Indus, Chenab, also called Chandrabhaga in origin context. Ganga, Yamuna, the longest tributary. Special name: Indus, Singhi Khamban. Ganga, Padma in Bangladesh. Total length: Indus, about 2,880 kilometers. Ganga, about 2,525 kilometers. This is the table you revise when time is low and the paper is close. So now the north is mapped. We have traced the antecedent giants, the Indus and the Ganga, from definitions and water divides to tributaries, confluences, flood belts and structural control. Next, we descend into the ancient hard rock world of peninsular drainage to decode the Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. That is where fixed courses, old profiles and plateau logic take over.